The Sims 2 is a messy game, and I'm not talking about some drama with the developers or the game being controversial, I'm literally talking about the Sims themselves. The pre-made families of The Sims 2 are often brushed off as NPCs made simply to fill the world, and so many players never discover the spiderweb of relationship drama, bitter family feuds, betrayal, cheating, and even death that is the lore of The Sims 2. These pre-made Sims have rich inner worlds, defined personalities and relationships, and secrets to hide. Only by digging through their bios, family trees, and memories, as well as playing their stories, can you unfold their mysteries. This is all to say that Sims are messy and dramatic as hell, and today I'm going to be ranking families in The Sims 2 by how messy their beef is with each other, because I think it's funny. Let's begin. Before we get into things, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So I've been working on a game and an animated pilot at the moment, so I've been doing a lot of writing, and Skillshare's learning paths and classes have been great to keep my skills sharp. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes led by industry experts across animation, film, content creation, music, productivity, and more. Skillshare classes can help you take your skills, career, passions, side hustles, and hobbies to the next level. And with pathways, you can master your skills with curated sequential collections of classes relevant to the skills that you want to learn. As I said, I've been doing a lot of writing, and Myla Goldberg's Creative Writing Bootcamp has been such a fun and vibrant class to help get those creative ideas flowing, with tons of useful skills that I can transfer back into my own writing and projects. I also have to recommend the Procreate for Professionals learning path because I love Procreate so much and will always sing its praises, and I think any designer or artist with an iPad should know all of its little tips and tricks. So this summer, turn your I want to into an I made it happen with Skillshare. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today and check out that link in the description. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into it. So my tier list ranking is pretty simple. At the top we have evil, reserved for Sims who have done terrible and irredeemable things. Dysfunctional is for families who are pretty messed up, but with a lot of work they can eventually be salvaged. Messy is for Sims that are, well, messy. They have drama, they have beef, they're causing chaos, but they're not necessarily bad Sims at heart. Pretty unproblematic is for Sim families who have little to no drama in their lives, and murderer is reserved for one family in particular. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you'll soon find out. Alright, let's get into the tier list. A lot has happened in 25 years, but some new faces in town are stirring up rivalries and creating tension for the once happy families. Can anything be done to get the neighborhood feeling good again? The Broke Family. The Broke Family consists of Mother Brandy and her 2 sons, teenage Dustin and toddler Bo. As the name suggests, they're pretty lacking in simoleons and live in a humble home in Pleasant View. On the surface, the main conflict in this family seems to be the tension between Mother Brandy and teenage son Dustin, who is acting out in rebellion, and Brandy is concerned that her younger son may go down the same path. But there's more to the Brokes than meets the eye. When you open this family for the first time, Brandy is actually on her way to the toilet to throw up, hinting towards the fact that she's actually pregnant with a 3rd child. Even more shocking, the family's bio states that Brandy's husband and the father of her unborn child, Skip Broke, recently died in a quote-unquote suspicious pool ladder accident. The house does indeed have a pool in the back, which is barely big enough for a Sim to fit in, and which doesn't have a ladder. This has led many to speculate that Brandy Broke actually murdered Skip. The family is clearly in a dire financial situation, so maybe she did it for the insurance money. After all, her bio states that she's friendly to a fault, and many accuse her of being overly so. Is it all a cover-up for something darker? Well, probably not, actually. All of the evidence in the game points to the two having a great relationship, and there are no memories of arguments or infidelity. Plus, after Skip's death, Brandy's life kind of went to shit, so the motive isn't really there. I'm gonna put the Brokes in the pretty unproblematic tier because they've experienced a lot of hardship, and while their relationships with each other are a bit rocky, they love and care for each other, they're doing their best, they're not bad people. The Goth Family. The legendary Goth family, who are fan favorites in the Sims franchise, consists of Mortimer Goth, his missing wife Bella, and their 2 children, Cassandra and Alexander. There's a lot going on with the Goths, and the missing wife is just the start of it. Though the details of Bella's disappearance are kept vague, it's revealed through the family's memories that she was actually abducted. For Cassandra, this is registered as a negative memory, but bizarrely for Bella's own loving husband, Mortimer, it's a positive memory. This is likely because his aspiration is knowledge, and knowledge Sims are super into anything alien related, but this isn't where the suspicion suspicious behavior stops. Mortimer, who sleeps under a giant painting of his missing wife, is currently seeing the much younger Dina Caliente, who only wants him for his money. And when I started up the household, he even wanted to flirt with her sister, Nina. This begs the question, did Mortimer have something to do with Bella's mysterious disappearance? Well, no, for reasons that we'll cover in the next few entries, but he's kind of sleazy to say the least. It's not like she died, she's still missing and could actively be out there somewhere, and he's fooling around with Dina Caliente. And speaking of sleazy Sims, when you first play the family, the backyard is set up for a wedding, with the game directing you to click on the arch to start the ceremony for Cassandra and her fiance Don Lothario.
Frogi Jahano Lapso Nibre Steep Flow Steep Flow, Shubi Sablo Fob.
Yeah, Don has commitment issues, and as we'll discuss in the next entry, he's kind of a scumbag. Cassandra isn't the only woman in his life, and whatever you do, it's a lose-lose situation. Go through with the wedding and Cassandra will be left brokenhearted and crushed, or don't go through with the wedding and have to watch Cassandra date a cheater. The combination of Bella's mysterious disappearance, Mortimer's seeming lack of care in his relationship with gold digger Dina, and Cassandra and Don's train wreck of a relationship put the Goth's family in the messy tier, which brings us to the Lothario family. Don Lothario's bio in The Sims 2 reads, "So many ladies, so little time. When Don isn't thinking about dating, he's sleeping." The Sims 2 for console, on the other hand, is straight up brutal. What can one say about Don Lothario? Some of his old girlfriends have suggested lecherous lowlife and degenerate scum, but Don prefers the appellation romantically ambitious. Don is a bit of a sleaze and quite the ladies' man, as he's romantically involved with both Nina and Dina Caliente and Kaylin Landerack, a maid who works in Pleasant View, all while being engaged to Cassandra Goth. Even more shocking, delving into Don's memories will reveal that before he had his first kiss with Cassandra, he tried to kiss her mother, Bella, and was rejected. More suspicious yet, the description of the Lothario family reads that Bella was last seen, quote, scaling the deck of his condo, and the last known photo of Bella shows the two stargazing together. Could it be that Don is not only a womanizer, but a murderer? Well, again, no, and we will get to it, but trust me when I say that Don was just a sleazeball in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm putting Don in the dysfunctional category because not only is he a cheater, but he decided that the best course of action after Bella rejected his kiss was to go after her daughter instead. Plain and simple, dude's got issues. Also, he has a giant painting of Bella in his bedroom, which honestly should have been more of a red flag for Cassandra. The Caliente family. You may have noticed that a couple of the last families we've covered so far have one thing in common, the Caliente sisters Nina and Dina, and that's because these girls are basically the chaotic glue that holds all of the drama of Pleasant View together. Obviously they're both involved with their next door neighbor, Don Lothario, both without each other knowing, which honestly is really impressive considering they both live in the same house. They're also very heavily connected to the Goth family in some pretty suspicious ways. Dina is actually the widow of Michael Batchelor, the brother of Bella Goth. She married him when he was an elder, and the Goths are famously the most wealthy family in Pleasant View. This aligns with her aspiration for wealth and status as a gold digger. After Michael died, she went back on the prowl. When you first play the Caliente family, a pop-up will appear which reads, Dina Caliente's digging for gold and she wants to lay a claim on Mortimer. Don't wait for him to make the big move, be aggressive. As previously discussed, Mortimer and Dina are kind of a thing, and this pop-up reveals that Dina's motives are purely financial. She just can't seem to keep away from the Goths and that massive fortune, so now that Mortimer's wife is out of the picture, she's preparing to strike. But once again, that begs the question, could the Calientes have had something to do with Bella's disappearance? Well, yes actually. See, the Calientes are actually half alien. If the fact that the word alien is literally in their surnames doesn't give it away, then their family tree does. Nina and Dina's grandfather, Nestor Caliente, gave birth to their father after he was impregnated by an alien called Pollination Technician 7. Their life state is officially listed on the Sims wiki as Alien Sim Hybrid. And how did Bella go missing? She was abducted by aliens. Mortimer, the patriarch of the Goth family, has all the money and assets, but there's one thing standing in the way: Bella. Maybe the Calientes called in a little favor with some of their extraterrestrial relatives and got Bella shipped off to Strangetown. All the better while she's stargazing with Don, since it pins all the suspicion onto him. On the official Sims 2 website, an interview with Bella Goth was published where she proposed that the Calientes may have had a different motive. Quote, "I think someone sent Dina to town specifically to pull Mortimer away from me. I know he's a genius and his work is important to a lot of people. I couldn't have possibly imagined that trying to create a life elixir that could help everyone would ever push somebody to ruin our marriage. And why take me away from him? Perhaps they thought that I was a distraction and believed that taking me away from the love of my life would make him stop his work." Whatever the case, it's pretty clear that the sisters and their alien ancestry had something to do with Bella's disappearance, and their fixation on the Goth family is nothing but suspicious. Since Bella is missing and not murdered, I can't put them in the bottom tier, so the closest thing I can do is put them in the evil tier because they abducted a woman. The Dreamer Family. The Dreamer family, father Darren and teenage son Dirk, are pretty tame when it comes to sim families. Darren is an aspiring painter who can't pay the bills and is taking care of his son as a single father after the death of his wife Darlene. Darren wants to win Cassandra Goth's heart, but as we know, she's currently preoccupied with the womanizing Don Lothario. The main plot here is the will they won't they relationship between Darren and Cassandra, which is sweet and romantic but not very juicy. I'm putting them in pretty unproblematic because there's not really much here. The Pleasant Family. The Pleasants appear to have the perfect life. Devoted husband and wife Daniel and Mary Sue are head over heels for each other, and they have two beautiful teenage daughters, Lilith and Angela. But under the surface, the family is falling apart. Daniel is having an affair with the maid, and yes, it's the same maid who's hooking up with Don Lothario. When you first start the game, Mary Sue will either be fired or demoted from her job, causing her to come home early from work to discover this betrayal. Whether their marriage can be saved is really up to the player. In my game, directly after the discovery, Mary Sue spent an hour dancing aggressively while Daniel and Kaylin ate sandwiches together, so things aren't looking promising. Things aren't perfect with Angela and Lilith either. The two are enemies, constantly arguing and getting into slap fights, and Lilith's grades are in the toilet. I'm putting the Pleasants in dysfunctional because, I mean, just look at the scene. Does anything about this scream normal to you? Truth seekers move to Strangetown hoping to discover the secrets the town holds. Do aliens live among us? Do missing Sims mysteriously appear here? In this town, nothing is what it seems. The Beaker Family. Loki and Cersei Beaker are the mad scientists of Strangetown, and aside from being a little eccentric, they're perfectly harmless. Oh, except for the literal living sim that they keep trapped in their basement to experiment on. The aptly named nervous subject lives with the Beakers in a dingy underground basement and is used as the guinea pig for their experiments. He's the only biological child of Olive Spectre, another Strangetown resident, but he was taken away from her due to neglect and rehomed with the Beakers. But what makes him so special that he needs to be studied so much? Well, nervous subject is actually a whole rabbit hole of his own, and we'll get to it later in the ranking, but let's just say that there's something very special about him. Regardless, human experimentation on innocent and helpless Sims is not cool and puts the Beaker household firmly in the evil tier. The Curious Family. The Curious Family is composed of brothers Laszlo, Pascal, and Vidkund, and without sounding weird, they're the impreg family of The Sims 2. When you first start up the game, Pascal has been impregnated by aliens and is about to give birth. The game also prompts you to make Vidkund use the telescope, and if you do, he'll be abducted by aliens and impregnated too. Once the babies are born, the house is absolutely hilarious to play since it's just a bunch of dudes hanging out, cheering whenever they see the baby, and eating pizza while it chills on the kitchen floor. This is the true meaning of guys being dudes. The only messy thing about the Curious brothers is their family tree, but we'll get to that when we talk about their sister Jenny and her family, the Smiths. I'm putting the Curious family into pretty unproblematic. While I'm tempted to put them higher for this absolute abomination of a house, which they definitely don't have a building permit for, they're good guys just trying to get by and provide for their alien babies, and who can't relate to that? The Grunt Family. General Buzz Grunt runs a domesticated boot camp for his sons Tank, Rip, and Buck, but his sons struggled to live up to his expectations. A military family through and through, Buzz Grunt's style of parenting is tough, maybe too tough as his sons' relationships with him and each other are pretty rocky. Mr. Grunt's personal relationships have never been the best either. He has low relationship levels with almost everyone in Strangetown, and he has many memories of getting into fights with other other Sims. The one Sim that he lost to though was none other than the alien pollination technician 9 Smith, which many theorize has led him to hate aliens. There's also the mystery of what happened to Buzz's wife, Lila Grunt. She was the more gentle and nurturing parent, having taught the boys most of their skills as toddlers and children, but she eventually divorced Buzz, presumably because of his bullish nature. Shockingly, pun intended, after their divorce, Lila mysteriously died by electrocution and was buried in Olive Spectre's graveyard. Did Buzz have something to do with Lila's death? On one hand, electrocution isn't exactly the most common method of murder, but on the other hand, the timing is just too suspicious. And why is Lila buried in Olive Spectre's graveyard when the family has absolutely nothing to do with her? Digging deeper into the lore of the Grunts just causes more questions to pop up, and whatever's going on, there's much more than we know. Sticking to the facts though, I feel pretty confident putting the Grunt family in the dysfunctional tier. Strict military household plus divorce plus suspicious death equals a recipe for a disastrous family dynamic. The Smith family. The Smith family is composed of pollination technician 9, his wife Jenny Smith, and their two kids, Johnny and Jill. They're the perfect white picket fence suburban family, and aside from the beef between PT9 and his neighbor General Buzz Grunt, there's not too much to cover there. There is some weirdness in the Smith family tree though. Jenny is the sister of the Curious brothers and became Jenny Smith after she married PT9. However, pollination technician 9 Smith actually impregnated Jenny's father, Glan Curious, causing him to give birth to two girls, Chloe and Lola Single, who, as a side note, are also playable in Strangetown. Super messy and kind of weird. I know alien pregnancies aren't like regular sim relationships where there's woohoo involved, it's more of a probing situation, but still, you married the guy that impregnated your dad. It's a little too in the family, and for that reason the Smiths are going in the messy tier. The Spectre family. Now we come to the Spectre family, and messy doesn't even begin to describe it. Olive Spectre lives with her teenage niece Ophelia at 13 Dead End Lane, an appropriate name given the huge graveyard that lays at the back of the property. See, Olive has a long history of ex-lovers who have died. Her fiancé Early Demise left her at the altar and died soon after, and his brother Tim Lee Demise is also buried in her graveyard. Next was her first husband, Rigor Mortis, who died in a fire, her second husband, Euthanasia, who also died in a fire, and her third and final husband, Ichabod Spectre, who died from old age. There are many other Sims buried on the lot, including Lila Grunt, both of Ophelia's parents, and various townies and NPCs. Olive's bio reads, quote, Olive will stop at nothing to get what she wants. She spends her time collecting mushrooms, sharpening sticks, and excavating her yard. So Olive is clearly a murderer. I mean, her name is literally I Love Spectre, and that's not just because she hangs out with a bunch of ghosts all day. If we examine her memories, we can discover that she actually woohooed with the Grim Reaper, which led her to having her first and only child, Nervous Subject. The reason why the mad scientist Beakers are so interested in Nervous is because he's half Reaper. There are many different theories behind Olive and her graveyard. A more forgiving theory suggests that after losing so many loved ones, she did the deed with Old Grim as a sort of pact to stop him from taking anyone else. However, the more common theory is that she's simply a murderer with a fascination for the dark and disturbing, thus explaining her infatuation and subsequent one-night stand with the Grim Reaper. Her pastimes of sharpening sticks and excavating her yard, as noted in her bio, seems to point towards a more nefarious explanation. Olive is going in the murderer tier for obvious reasons. Sorry for any Olive apologists out there, or apologists. Sorry. The Caps and Montys have been feuding for years, but that hasn't stopped the younger generation from crossing boundaries and falling in love. Will their actions lead to ruin or bring the families together? The Cap family and the Monty family. I'm putting the Caps and the Montys in one entry together because they're basically the only two families in Veronaville, and they're also heavily intertwined with each other. They're based off the Capulets and Montagues from Romeo and Juliet, and the two families are at war, with Romeo Monty and Juliet Cap in the middle of it all. The two are in love, but have to keep their love a secret because of the bitter rivalry between their families, specifically the patriarchs of the families, Patrizio Monty and Consort Cap. The feud started when a young Patrizio kissed Consort's crush and later wife, Contessa. Compared to a lot of other Sim family beef, this one is pretty tame. There's some family drama and some past hurts, but nothing that can't eventually be resolved in order to bring the families together. I'm gonna tentatively put this one in messy, but it's kind of teetering into unproblematic territory. I'll put it in messy because there is a little bit of drama there, but it's not too bad. So those are my rankings. Did you agree? Did you disagree? What do you think the juiciest drama was? Do you think my rankings were accurate? Or do you think that maybe I judged some too harshly? Please let me know in the comments. I always love hearing about it. And I really want to do a video like this for The Sims 3. Not so much The Sims 1 or 4 for various reasons, but The Sims 3 I feel like could really work for this format, and also just generally more fun, silly Sims ranking videos or other ranking videos. But let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos that you want me to cover. And yeah, also if I sound really weird in this video, it's because somehow I lost my mic cover. I have no idea where it went. Usually it just sits on my microphone and it's gone, and I have no idea what I did with it, so I'm trying not to speak too loudly or like pop too much because I don't want the audio to sound bad. But I'm gonna order another one, and maybe my old one will turn up. I have no idea where it is, but anyway, so yeah, if it sounds a bit weird or kooky, that's probably why, and I'm really sorry about that. I will fix it. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye! A huge thank you to my Garfield overlords over on Patreon. Prize from Travelling Tavern, Meridia, Dr. Worm, Vivian Valencia, Bunzo, Jar the Bar, Zoe Mars, Sophie H, Thy Heavenly, Kia J. Parker, Hazy, Jet Secret, Oliver Brains, Blue Mayfeld, Katrina Likes 5e Stuff, Michelle Olsen, Matt LRJ, A Riddle Wrapped in Enigma Hidden by Question Mark, Doug, Dana Homegardener, Simon, Xavier Araujo, Helm Hamburger Hand, Dozo Blint, Sheriff Whiskey, Astrian Vortex, Jesse Chisholm, and Lee XX. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, it means the world. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for supporting me, and I really hope to see you in the next one.